Okay, here we are in the sunny, beautiful landscape of Andalusia, in the studio of Gym Halama. He's a local artist, been here many years, and it's a great honour to talk to Jim today about her work and process. Jim has created this enchanted realm here in this beautiful ancient cortijo on the edge of a village in the Valley Lacrin. And we're downstairs, which is a gallery space. And then we'll go upstairs in a bit to the studio space. But first of all, let's say hello to Jim. Hi, Jim.
Hi.
And thanks so much for doing this for the Arts Lab. We all get so much out of it. Shall we begin, Jim? Just like I know we're going to start quickly about talking about your lockdown exhibition, but before that, you might have to turn the other mics off, Marianne. I can hear other talking. Yeah, but let's talk about how you began your journey with painting. Did that happen as a child?
Yes, it happened as a child.
Did you go to art school?
I started in my bedroom. My father loved art, and he had a lot of art books in the house, and I used to just grab one and copy them. That's how I learned in my bedroom, just drawing and painting. And I did eventually go to art school when I was 17, and I went after the term had begun with a few sketches, and they said start Monday, but you can't do a foundation course. Choose a subject. So I chose fashion. And after 3 months, I left because it was very outdated. And I loved the life drawing classes, but I couldn't.
So you're an art school dropout.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'm glad I did actually, because I think I would have taken another direction.
Yeah.
3 years of sort of, I'm glad I just took my own path, really.
Yeah. And that path has led you here, but have you been painting throughout?
I had a gap when I was probably 18. Onwards a few, lots of drug taking and stuff and traveling and not really concentrating on it. Yeah. And then when I moved here, I did a little bit. I had a 3-year diary. I used to draw and, I do one a week of what my major focus, what happened that week. And I lived with this guy, and it was just, so I did do little sketches and stuff, but mainly when I moved here in 91, I think, I really just painted every day and got into it. So totally.
Yeah. And I know you've made a career to work with films, doing film sets and working with the Bolshoi Ballet, and we'll talk about that later. But, for many artists, they say, it's that sort of Joseph Campbell, hero with 1,000 faces. It's the hero's journey. And it often involves a wounding. Was there a wounding when you were young that penetrated you in?
Yeah.
What was that?
My mum died when I was 8.
Wow.
And it really affected me.
Yeah.
And I just, I became very introverted because no one ever, in those days you didn't talk about it. It's just like, don't speak about it ever again.
Yeah.
And I became very introverted, and took me a long time. And I started doing a series here actually of my childhood memories and all. That was really good for me.
Oh, it brought up a lot of stuff.
Really good for me. And I did a whole series, sold quite a few. But that was the big thing for me in my life.
Yeah, and I know you from living here as well, and getting a couple of your works. You always seem quite happy to let them go because you're very prolific, I suppose. You just want them out. Did you ever get attached?
I prefer this, hanging on someone's wall, especially if someone I like. Because I've got them stacked up everywhere.
Yeah.
You never sell as many as you paint. Well, I don't.
Yeah.
And but I just have to keep going. You know, it's like it's a need.
Yeah.
And if I go 2 weeks without painting, I start getting edgy.
Yeah.
And it's become an addiction, really.
And it must fulfill lots of different roles in your life, you know, as well as just being creative, but therapeutic.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you lose yourself, you know. And also, I think my best work is done when my head's completely empty. That's when they come really quick, and they're just pure. Nothing. I don't know where they come from. And if you ask me how I did them, I don't remember. But it's those for me are the best ones. If you labour too much over something, it doesn't seem to come out.
But they always seem like they've got these personal stories involved.
Yeah, a lot of them have.
Are there ones where there's just no you in there or something?
There's sometimes they just come out. But I usually find something I can connect with if it's kind of abstract, you know. And there's always something that pulls me.
Okay, well let's start talking about your exhibition that you had recently, the lockdown exhibition.
The lockdown was, I did 29 paintings in 66 days.
Wow, so it was a good lockdown.
It was a good lockdown for me. At the first, it was all very scary, and I think everyone was a bit freaked out. Yeah. And I couldn't, I heard a lot of artists couldn't get motivated at all. But what I did was I started with these two still lives. Just to get myself going, because I can do those quite easily. For me, still lives are, and I used the loo roll as a
in the rubber gloves
as the theme for them, and I just got myself going with that, and then it started happening.
Were you making things out of the loo rolls and stuff?
Yes.
What did you make out? Oh, here we go. That's fantastic. Wow. So
it's all my old paint brushes, loads of fabric which I've got in my attic, and I just started getting. I was hanging them upstairs at the beginning, hanging them all around the walls, but I just had to show them again. I had an old board and I painted it white, and I just put them on there. But I really enjoyed doing those. They were such fun. Yeah,
fantastic. And what are they? Are they just dancers or characters? Are they
just people?
Just people, yeah.
You know, character children, Japanese,
kind of like
African, tribal, and some of them remind me of my friends. I don't know, they weren't meant to, but there are people that come out.
They remind me of the Japanese hand puppets. Oh, not hand puppets, string puppets in Chinese.
I used to be so crazy about string puppets when I was little. I used to make theatre shows, turn tables upside down, do the shows.
Great.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Great. I made some seedling, pods to put your seeds in and germinate the seeds. But no seeds came out. I couldn't make it work. Okay, let's go on around the studio.
That was, I'd sold one to another one, but that was, in my studio, I paint on, I put a piece of transparent plastic. And I suddenly looked down one day after doing many paintings, and I thought, wow, that's a beautiful piece, and that's a beautiful piece. And I ended up just cutting them out and putting them on a board.
It's your Jackson Pollock, really, isn't it?
They're wonderful. Yeah. I've got loads lined up.
Yeah.
Actually. The first one of the show I sold, so I just...
Yeah, they're really great.
Yeah.
I've just been reading a great book about the women artists of the 40s. Elaine de Kooning and Lee Krasnow and when Pollock first did I'm at this chapter where Pollock first did his splash paintings. He got Lee in and he said, "What do you think?" And he wasn't sure, and she said, "Yeah, it works." And that was enough for him to carry on. That's great. So that's quite abstract as well, isn't it?
Funnily enough, that was Tati again. I used to, because I do my life drawing classes every week when it's
Do you do them in here?
I do them upstairs. So I have a live model every week. We do it every Tuesday. And I did a, perfectly decent painting. Yeah. And I just thought, this is so boring. Yeah. And I destroyed it, and it came out so much better.
I see.
You can see.
You see the figure, yeah. Oh, yeah.
and I added
Yeah.
a bit of scribbling.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just love it so much more now.
Yeah, it's very good.
You know,
Yeah.
it just didn't say anything to
Yeah.
me. You know, and
Yeah.
I love it.
So, would you say don't be afraid to destroy your work?
No, you know, I've learned to destroy stuff.
Yeah,
You know, if
yeah.
it's boring, I just don't want to do boring.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
The
yeah.
odd, you know, figurative stuff, if it's right, it works.
Yeah.
But for me, that needed rubbishing, you know, and if
Yeah.
it doesn't work when you destroy it, I paint over things over and over again.
Yeah,
I've sold paintings that have got 4 paintings on.
Amazing.
You know,
Amazing.
I'm not afraid to.
Yeah.
You know.
A lot of great artists are like that. Picasso was one for that.
Right, now this
is a big piece, isn't it?
This wasn't part of the lockdown, but it's important to me, that one. Remember Roger?
No.
A French guy that used to, he came to one of your things.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I was hanging out with him for 4 or 5 years.
Oh.
And then he died about 2 years ago.
Oh.
And it's quite a story, really. And that was my emotional reaction to his death when someone rang me up and told it.
Wow.
And
well, you did that painting when you heard he died. Wow.
And it took me maybe 2 hours.
Wow.
And I was really just blah, blah, blah.
Wow. Well, talk us through it. Yeah.
Well, that's him, because a few months later, you've got to hear the little bit of the story.
Yeah.
A couple of months later, I had a visit from the police. 2 police came to ask me questions about him, because he'd wiped his computer, he'd wiped his phone.
Oh.
He basically, no one knew. He was on ice for a year in Armenia because they didn't know who he was.
Right.
That's why I call it AKA, also known as. Anyway, and they showed me this driving license, and they said, "Is this him?" And I went, "No, it doesn't look anything like him." He was driving on a dead man's driving license.
Oh my gosh.
From Portugal.
Wow.
Anyway, the whole thing is just like really weird.
Wow.
And we were always fighting because he was a bit of a heavy character.
Right.
So that's him.
Right.
And that's me with a bird in my stomach because he used to threaten me a bit.
Wow.
He was a nasty piece of work.
Wow.
And that's the devil between us. But because I knew him, you know, he was one of those black and white people.
Right.
He's either really nice or really horrible.
How did he die?
He had cancer. He died very quickly.
Oh. Wow, that's heavy. It reminds me of a story I heard of Ray Charles. And when he was recording with John Hammond, the legendary producer, Hammond got a call to say that Ray's mother had died. And he took the phone into the studio and said, "I'm very sorry, Mr. Charles, you just had this call. You've got to take it. It's about your mother died." He took the call. And then afterwards he said, "Look, we can postpone the session and you can go home, no problem." And Ray went, "No, roll the tape." And he recorded this album with an impassioned emotional.
Yes, it has to be spontaneous.
And did it in like one take.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes when I'm producing artists and singers, I'll go, "Imagine you just had a call, your mother's died." And I sing it like you're singing it to her. And they're like, they get good performances. So
no, it's one of my favorites.
That's great.
You know, he was a. Anyway, I did it because I wanted it. You know,
powerful way to get in touch with the emotions you're feeling.
Yeah. No, it's really.
There's a tradition of death masks as well, isn't there? Of artists taking a death mask.
Well, I do a lot of death in my paintings.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Have you ever done a death mask for something?
No. I might.
That's interesting.
That.
Yeah. When my father died, I went to the hospital. I started sketching him as he was just after he died, and he had one hand. It was about an hour after he died, and I turned up, and his one hand was like marble. And I did some sketches. And when I found one of those in a sketchbook the other day, and it really brought back a lot of emotions. Yeah, it's a good tradition, I think. Okay, so what about these?
That was from I'd done one similar. Some of it I left, and when the lockdown came, I just made it better because it wasn't really. I wasn't totally happy with it.
Right.
And that's George Floyd.
Right.
Because he just got killed, and well, you know, animal cruelty and stuff like that.
Is that a wild hog?
Whatever it is, it's a animal, really.
Yeah.
But it's and then somebody with their head down sitting
Yeah.
Scenic.
Oh, I see. Yeah. And these colours, this colour composition, I know you like these colours because I've got one of your paintings with the same colours. People often ask me about them. Why these colours?
I don't know, I've just got this thing about the colours just have to work together. It doesn't matter whether whatever I use, you know, I go, you know, until I'm really happy with they work together.
Yeah.
And I've been using a lot of purples and turquoise, and
Yeah.
a lot of yellows lately.
Yeah.
I'm really into yellow, and I'm
Right.
not in that one particularly.
Right.
So.
Yellow's a hard colour to wear and to use in a painting, they say.
Yeah, no, I love wild. I love lime green and purple. You know, I love them.
So, okay, so
it works for me.
Yeah, it's just an aesthetic thing. There's no esoteric or anything.
No.
Okay, let's move on
and there's
to
our lovely Tati, who is that pink one there, the same model.
Oh wow,
and
okay.
I just love that because you know, everyone's hiding their nose and their mouth, and she's showing her nose.
Oh yeah, lovely. Yeah. It's almost like a Polaroid, that, isn't it?
Yes, you
know.
Because she's just such a great model. I adore her.
And the black background, is that a Goya reference? Or?
No reference at all. It just worked for me, just having her there. In the black, she had a black t-shirt she was stripping off.
I mean, already we can see from these 4 or 5 paintings completely diametric opposite styles.
I know.
It's so dynamic, isn't it? Okay, what about these?
That's a weird one.
Yeah.
It's called Together Forever. It's 2 people joined at the head.
Oh yeah.
And this girl, like, we've got 2 heads, and then her bum is twisted round. But I like the colours. And basically, I'd done a little scribble a few years ago, and I was going through everything, and I found the little sketch, and I thought I'll do a bigger painting of it. It was just a literal. I don't know why I did that.
They look a little bit like sort of Hindu mythology or something.
Yeah, no, the nice faded. Yeah, I like the colours.
Yeah, like innocence of it. Great. Okay, so what about this? This is a clown, is it?
Yeah, it's called The Last Show, and it's my grandfather was a trapeze artist.
Ooh, you're a circus stock.
Yeah. Come from circus. Wow. That's why I'm good up a ladder.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I've just got a thing about clowns and circuses. I love I mean, you know, all the cruelty and everything, but as a kid, for me, going to the circus was just the trapeze artists as well. You know, you'd look at them and all the makeup they had on when they were up there, and you could see all them in the flesh. And I don't know, I love them. I love clowns.
I had a girlfriend who ran away with a circus. I thought it was such a girl. I always wanted to do that. But so you're not one of these people who find clowns funny? Scary?
No, not at all.
Well, do you find them a bit scary?
Oh, do you?
Yeah, but this one's not scary.
He's like an old bloke, and he's nearly at the end of his career, I think. I just don't know, it just came out. I liked it.
Looks like he's been drinking absinthe. Okay, and this one, this is very different again, isn't it?
The clowns.
Yes, I've seen a picture of this.
Well, there are a lot of clowns in politics lately. And, and in fact, especially that one.
Yeah.
Because it's got them all bowing in front.
Yeah.
So that could well be one we know that's just gone.
Oh, great. And I like the way you've got the manuscript paper.
Oh, yeah, the music
painted
sheets,
in. Yeah.
I bet it was a bit of a collage there.
Yeah.
And
is there a story behind this?
No,
quite mythical
Minotaurs,
or
what happens with me is I can make a real mess of colour, and then I start filling in and creating shapes, and sometimes they really work for me. So I'm basically
so
the background.
These bits are all the mess.
That's a collage.
Yeah.
But I've done a few of these, so I create them as they go without even knowing what I'm going to do.
As negative space. Yes, and
they work
sometimes. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great. You get those amazing textures, and it's almost like collage or something, isn't it?
Almost.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at collage. I try a few. I've done, very few, but I find it really hard. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But
anyway, I love it. I love it. It's
there's no really rhyme or reason to it. It just comes out the way it comes out, and it's below the sea as well.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
It's
Yeah.
a bit below the sea.
What's the
And
title?
there's a trapeze
Yeah.
artist up
Yeah.
there. Well, it's called Bring in the Clowns.
I like the. That's right. Yeah, I like the way you bring all these different elements of your life in. You know.
And the fish, because
Yeah.
the first death in my life was my goldfish dying. So I often have fish that represents death to me. A bit.
Right.
The fish. Usually it's goldfish.
Right.
But,
so what's the horned head?
I have no idea. It just looked great.
Okay.
But I am the buffalo in the Chinese horoscope. Maybe that's it.
Oh.
You know, I love cows and horns and
right.
And being a buffalo. Yeah, maybe
right.
that's it. It's all subconscious, isn't it?
Right.
Really, I think.
Yes.
It must be.
Okay, and then this
one.
yeah.
And I started doing quite a few years ago, having these figures coming out their heads as if they're like memories of friends or people or relatives.
Same technique.
Yeah,
background and then negative space. Yeah,
actually.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like father, like son. You know, father and son, and the son hasn't actually developed his character yet, so he hasn't really got a face yet.
Yes.
But they still have that DNA.
Yeah.
The birds and you know what I mean.
Beautiful.
I
really
love that
beautiful.
one.
Yeah.
I did another one which I sold to my ex recently, but much more bright and vibrant.
Right. A little clown-like the face as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Okay.
This one is actually one of my latest ones. Just somebody expressing. What's it called now? I can't remember what it's called. Oh yes, emotional rescue.
Oh.
So the guy's dressed up in a tutu.
Oh.
And basically let yourself go.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
People need to do things that they want to do.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't suit everybody.
Yeah. No, I like the way you've got the little the scratches in the paint.
Yeah, the noughts and crosses is to represent boredom, basically.
Right.
Don't be boring, just be expressive.
Now, do you find when you're doing these, a lot of your work is like you're kind of transmitting it rather than intellectually thinking? Yeah, it's visionary, really.
It develops from the beginning, and sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing, but then as I'm developing it, I can see. I wanted to give him great big hands to say, "Here I am," in my tutu.
Yeah.
There was a guy it was in the 70s. I was running this shop in London, and this guy used to come visit me every afternoon. This guy with a full beard, and he had a yellow frilly dress on, and hairy legs and the whole lot, and he was just amazing. I was the only one that entertained him because no one really wanted to know.
Wow.
But he was really fascinating character, and he was doing what he wanted to do, a bit like that, really.
Yeah.
And he was amazing.
Yeah.
And it was a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's more easier now for people to, express themselves that way if they choose than ever before, I would have thought.
And that's another tutty, which I did, I sometimes do that. I do a figurative painting that's pretty much correct, and I found it really boring again, and I just destroyed it. Yeah. I like it so much better.
I like the way the head's exploding.
Yeah. Really hot. She was and having the beach.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like
the different perspectives as well, sort of.
Sideways.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Here's some more of the color palette. I love the pinks.
You got the other one that went with that, didn't you?
Really?
Yes. Do you remember?
Yes.
You
I've
couldn't
got it
decide
up.
which one.
Yes.
But anyway,
that's
it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It basically represents like abortion, animal rights, and the pink tint really is death, where I always see death as you go back to base and then you set off again on another journey. Yeah. And there's death there. The bird represents.
Is that a peacock?
Not really. It's sort of like a bit of like a crow in a way, but it's got the crosses, the graveyard next to it. It's almost like a priest, really.
Yeah. And the fish.
And the fish again, the dead fish.
Yeah.
And sort of guardian angel behind you, and then this figure here with the abortion.
I
got
see.
no arms and they're kind of, you know, helpless.
Yeah.
You know, without having any arms.
Wow.
And the doves for love.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. I was pleased with that one.
Yeah, I just get a close up. It almost looks like chalk sometimes, but it's not. It's just
acrylic. And I sometimes I start dark and I build up light over the top, so it's chalky.
Yeah. 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 Incredible. Wow. So many layers and
well, I think it's about layers, isn't it? This one I really like. This is on paper. This was a lockdown one. It's called When Angels Dare to Sleep. So sleeping, and then there's this monster beside her, and this little devil here. And basically it's it represents basically that, when you know, these wonderful nurses, people.
Which artists have spoken to you as an influence in your life? That's got a Peter Blake thing about it almost.
Yeah, well, everyone's so different. I don't know. The influences I've had have been, you know, a godmother. When I was a teenager, she was a fashion artist, and she was amazing. Now I'm into Basquiat. I love. I tell you who I really love is Paula Rego. Oh God, I love her. You know, she just gave her whole soul to those paintings. This is my little installation.
Oh yes, here we go.
It's of the NHS with the bleeding bag.
Great.
I made that bag years ago. It's a terracotta thing.
Great. That's terracotta. That's looks so real.
The handle is papier-mâché.
Oh yeah.
I made it years ago, and I thought it was quite relevant for now. So the blood's pouring out of the bag, and the dreaded when it comes.
The vaccine.
The vaccine.
Yeah. What about this one?
That's
this is
George.
Oh wow, baby!
And you have to stand here, so you've got the black and white in between.
Oh, I see.
Sort of bleeding from his ear.
What about the mirror? Is that part of it?
No, I made it part of it, but it's just happens to be there, and I think it worked quite well.
Yeah.
And I painted over quite a good painting, because when he died, I just thought, I've got to do something. Yeah. And it's worked out really well, because it's kind of lumpy and textured.
Yeah, it's great. It's a very stark sense. Yeah. Fantastic. What about these little ones?
These are all quite old ones. Mainly crate. I had a whole series of crate paintings.
Oh yeah.
Like when there's nothing left in the world, there'll be some empty crate paintings.
I got one.
You got one?
I got one. I gave it as a gift to my son.
Oh, good. Yeah. I don't remember that.
Yeah. I got a really nice cauliflower of yours, because you do those still lifes, which is really lovely as well.
Do you know Jess?
Jess, the artist.
Is she an artist?
Jess.
She's the nurse in Granada.
Oh no, different.
She came.
Jess.
She got in touch with me and said, "I'd like to come pose for you." And so I took lots of photos of her, and then I kind of did it, and I was really thought there's just something missing, and it just comes through something so simple. I just put a cross behind it.
Why?
And then had her bleeding, basically. It's called After the Shift, basically.
Oh, I see. Right.
You know, she's
wow.
She was great.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really know her that well, but I admire her.
Yeah. Wow.
And she's building her own house now, I think, a straw bale house, and she's quite she's quite a strong lady. She's got 2 kids. And,
Should we have a look at your other installation you made? Yeah.
Well, I had an accident 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, and this ladder, which I've had for years, collapsed. Completely collapsed underneath me, and I fell flat on my back, banged my head, split my elbow, and fell on my coccyx, but I think my elbow saved me. And so what I did was I went into my medical box, looked for bandages, and all I found was out-of-date pills. So I called it sell-by date, because they were absolutely useless to me. And I just thought, everyone said, burn the ladder. And I said, no, I'm not going to burn the ladder.
Yeah, it's very Damien Hirst, isn't it?
And then
With the belt?
these shoes, I was wearing them all summer, and I thought I better stick those on because they're out of date as well.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so there's a few other ones here.
Oh, all these big ones.
More
where do you hang them and where do you...
Oh, yeah.
There's some nice, actually, I'll pull one out.
Yeah.
This was a...
Oh, wow. I just hit you like a hammer, doesn't it? Incredible.
This is called The Rain in Spain.
Wow.
I did that in about a couple of hours as well.
Amazing.
And
yeah.
Things like that.
Beautiful.
But it's just where you can't solve.
You need a big house for that, yeah.
You can't
yeah.
store them. And this Italian guy made me this little thing which has helped a lot.
Yeah, that's great.
You know, I had all my old paintings rolled up in my attic.
Yeah.
And that lot of that.
Wow.
And then these are the crates that where's the big one? These I did a series of these.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Which are empty food crates.
Right, yeah.
And I did 8. I sold 2 in London.
Yeah.
But I've still got a few little mini ones as well.
Because of course you've done sets for Bolshoi Ballet and film sets, big murals, big scale.
Yeah, big.
Do you ever keep any of those? Or
no, not in Russia. No. I mean, I was in Bolshoi.
No.
I mean, the one for Spartacus was, I don't even know how big it was, probably as big as this room and up, because the whole cast of Spartacus had to be in front of it.
So how do you manage to scale that up, not having trained as a...
Well, it was abstract.
Right.
And I had to go up a spiral staircase, look down on my work on the floor.
Wow.
Just to see what I'd done.
Wow.
I was splashing around and everything came out really well.
Amazing.
Really well.
Was that a great experience working with the Russian ballet?
Wow, it was. But there was one, because when I first got there, they didn't have anywhere for me to work, and it was a bloody ballet school. Yeah. So they put me in this class with a parquet floor. I said, I'm going to ruin this floor. You know, I've got a few things, but I need it to be completely safe. But of course, paint got around the edges, and the teacher afterwards came in and gave me such a bollocking. And I don't blame him, because I said, I don't want to do it in here, you know, it's too beautiful, the floor. Anyway, it was a success, you know.
Great.
It was, it all went really well.
Should we go upstairs?
Okay.
Okay.
And that one I like.
Yeah.
That one's quite...
it's quite Francis Bacon.
I love the black mouth.
Yeah.
This bit is called Damage.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, what I love is you're not afraid to sort of tackle difficult and dark emotional experiences.
This one was, I had another 14 bricks fell on my head. Oh. So I kept, you know, in Spain they give you the x-rays.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
And I had them all copied in Texas.
Oh,
they reproduced them for me.
Yeah.
And I made, that one changes colour.
Oh, the fish again.
And that's like death, you know, the worms in and out of the skull.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enjoyed doing
fantastic.
It. Well, I did up to the point. I got all of them. They're very. That's my genie.
Okay. So now we're in the inner sanctum studio area. What a fantastic working space. Although you're saying you're looking for somewhere bigger so you can make more mess.
Well, yeah, because I live in this space.
Yeah.
And I only paint in that space, and I'm slowly starting to creep into my living space now.
So
right.
Let's have a look at this. This one's
that's really another death one.
Yeah.
I did that actually. That sold. Somebody's given me a deposit, but it's been a year since he's picked it up and come to pay the rest. But I did that after the Charlie Hebdo massacre.
Oh yeah.
And it inspired me to do somebody laughing and somebody angry.
Yeah. And what about that portrait?
That's Emma. Do you remember Emily? She was a model for a year, and I really like that one actually.
Yes.
One for me. Another circus. Interlude. I think that one's called.
Yeah.
And then this was the first painting that where I started putting the heads coming out.
Ah, more figurative, yeah.
That was after ayahuasca.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Did-
that's what came out.
Oh, that's great. Was that here? You did
Yeah,
that?
in Spain, yeah.
Really?
And up a mountain in Malaga.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it a long ceremony?
It was awful. I didn't enjoy it.
Did you have the bucket?
Well, the thing, oh God, I found that also.
I did it. I found it incredible, I must say.
No, but I was bullied into doing it, so I
Mm.
went for the wrong reasons, you know.
But you got
And
a
I
great new style out
I
of
did,
it.
but you know what? I wanted to do my mother thing there, and
Right.
it wasn't. I just knew I didn't want to delve there in
Right.
with these people I didn't know, and I didn't want to do. So I didn't. I fought it.
Right.
And that was
Oh, I didn't have that problem. I had
Well, anyway, I didn't have a good time.
I had an incredible time. Just one of the best experiences I've ever had.
Yeah, you have to want it. This guy
Yeah.
was nagging me for a year. When are you going to come and do it? And I
Yeah.
said, all right, then I'll come
Yeah.
and do it. You know, and that was
Yeah.
not the right way.
I found you could ask really direct questions, get really direct answers back straight. It was amazing.
What I did have was this trip of about 20 minutes of multicolored scaffolding, dragons, you know, flying through the air. And I mean, I've taken lots of acid, but I've never experienced colors like that ever.
Yeah.
And it was so strong.
Mm.
And that's about all I got out of it.
Okay. Was that another ayahuasca one?
That's me, you know, in the lockdown.
Oh, that's in lockdown. Oh, great.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah,
I just thought I'd do a
yeah, that's
self-portrait.
great. I love that. I love the face. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, so that's a recent portrait of a friend, which I've just done. But this one is one of my favourites.
This one reminds me of some of the old poster art you used to get in America, like the Marlboro
Yeah,
Man
well,
or
I
something.
kind of wanted to do a Western theme.
Yeah.
He's lovely, this
Yeah.
Indian guy now. And
Yeah.
he was looking out my window, and I just snapped him without him knowing, and I just had to do a painting of him. Actually,
great. I love the way you've done the shirt contours. Yeah, really good. Okay.
And then this one is one of those ones where I filled in the gaps. This
Right.
is all about the world coming to an end and everyone
Oh,
falling
yeah.
into the
Epic.
abyss.
Yeah.
And you know, the pollution.
Yeah.
And the fish again. So
That-
it's a lot of
That reminds me of the Lascaux cave paintings in France. You know,
oh wow.
really. So sorry, carry on.
No, I mean, I just like, you know, because it's so random. I just do it without knowing what the creature is going to come out. They've all come out.
Yeah.
Some are half animal, half
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Anyway, I really love that one.
Yeah.
And
Great.
it's difficult it's on paper, glued to canvas, so you can actually put the holes in and you can roll it up.
Right.
And transport it a lot
Right.
easier, you know. And somebody, I mean, it'd be so expensive to frame for me.
And then
These are fairly new.
Well, yeah. These are the colours again.
The colours again. Oops, not good in this one.
Survival of the fittest. So is this lockdown? Is this from lockdown? Yeah.
Kind of, yes.
Yeah.
And you know, the black thing, African thing.
Yeah.
So yes, and then this one I'm not sure about. I did it, I like it, but it's not. I've got to do something on top of it or something. So I have a few around me so I can look at them for a while.
Yeah.
And this one is a bit too new age for me, but there's bits of it I like.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of chopping it up.
Yeah.
Because I love crows and the bottom. There's that chair. I used to get my friend to tie me up in a chair when I was about 10 or 11, my neighbour. And I was always tied up, and then I'd spend an hour trying to get out.
Oh,
that was my thing.
Wow.
I know, I don't know what it is about.
Very
Anyway,
progressive.
And so I often have a chair sort of flying through the air that represents me escaping.
Oh,
and that's
I see.
That's my mother going to heaven. So it is based on and then I had a dream when I was about 14 or something. Everyone was in a queue, and somebody was chopping off everyone's hands. So I was walking around in their hands.
Wow.
So I often put it in.
Oh, I see.
Because it means
Right.
I'm helpless.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. I've been doing a little series of pictures of artist studios with a chair in, because I sense being an artist, artists spend as much time looking at their paintings as they do doing them. Yeah. Where's your chair?
I've got plenty of chairs there.
So
I sit at dinner, you know, I sit at that glass table at the end there.
Right.
And I put the easel and I look at my painting. I'm really lucky to live in my studio because I can look at it for hours. Sometimes I can, you know, I'm even in bed, I put it so I can sit and I go, that's wrong. And I get out of bed and I start working.
Great. That's
you know,
obsessive.
It's like, you've got to do it while you're
That's obsessive.
So, yeah, no, it is obsessive. Obsessive. But it's really important to sit and
yeah.
I know.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so what else have we got here?
So we've got, I like that one.
Oh yeah.
That's I did that a bit before lockdown. It's sort of like somebody in an old folks home or something. There's a picture of Christ up there, and what happened was I'd done all the rest of it more or less, and then there was something really missing, and I just went slosh with the white paint and the pink legs. I just left them exactly how I did them, and it just made, for me, it was just, that was it, you know.
Great.
Just I love that one. I don't know why I love that one.
I like the band written word. Yeah. And who's this character?
Oh God, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm working. I did it in 17, I think, 2017, and I loved it, and then I didn't, the bits, and I keep changing it, and I think I'm leaving it for, it saved me from myself.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
It's just about, you know, alcoholics.
Oh yeah.
And I use jazz as a model.
Oh yeah, jazz, great.
This was years ago. I took a photo of him when he wasn't looking.
Now this is a very tidy studio.
Well, today I tied it up because look, you can see I'm not in my paint clothes. I mean, it's a one occasion. You know, everything I've got is covered in paint. Yeah. And I take it. I mean, I have been.
So there are.
What?
You've got the pastels.
I've got pastel. But I use the acrylics for the
painting.
For the, you know, wash. I do washes and.
You never bother with sketches for these paintings. You just go straight to canvas.
Usually, I should do sketches sometimes. Actually.
What would you use these for then?
Well, I go like here. I've used them.
Oh, as an additional layer. Yeah. Oh, I see.
You know, and then I seal it.
Yeah.
But I also use these oil crayons.
Yeah.
Which are great because they can smudge. Yeah. You can white spirit them.
I like the oil sticks.
Yeah. Well, these are oil sticks.
Are they actually oil painting or? Is it? Yeah. Oh, right.
And they do great things if you kind of get a rag and just make a mess with them. They're kind of they're brilliant.
Yeah.
And
disco balls.
I collect disco
Jess has just pointed those out.
I've got. Have you seen the one on the stairs? It's that big. And that was one in lockdown when the first portrait, when we were all kind of a bit terrified.
I like the blue hand.
Yeah, the glove.
Yeah.
Is it glove?
Oh, it's a glove.
Glove.
Yeah.
And then that one. I don't know. Do you believe in the real world?
Yeah.
Strong for me at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I don't.
Wow, what is real today, especially today. But I think what you get from great artists, great paintings, is a very real emotional sense from the work, which I definitely get from yours, and you talking us through it.
And Tati, we used to for a day, because we wanted to, my friend wanted to do a sculpture of her, and I definitely wanted to do an oil painting of her. And so I was doing sketches all day, and then I had an hour. Suddenly I realized I only had an hour left, so I did that in an hour. And the last hour, but I think it was because I'd done so many sketches that I could just, and I really thought it worked for me. Yeah. You know, the brushes, the brush strokes, and the colours kind of work for me.
Should we just sit down and have a chat? Oh, this guy again is this? Was this? Yeah, that's great.
He's such a great guy. I've done about 4 or 5. There's one over the kitchen of him.
Commanding presence. Yeah. Let's just sit and chat here for a minute. Or are there more? Oh, that one's great. That's very Picasso.
Well, that's another distraction because I had a boring portrait and I just covered him.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, well, let's just sit and chat here for a minute while we wrap it up.
Too much sun. You can't have too much sun, but you can.
So inspiring being in your studio, Jim. And I always find it really inspiring going to other people's studios, because you always think, well, how does anyone else do their work? You know, and then you know, it's great you giving us an insight into that, and it's I suppose also just that you've managed to create a life where you can be creative, and that's provided you with a living and this beautiful
I painted,
home.
you know, decorated people's houses at the beginning, and both at the same time I met this this Canarian guy that I knew when I was 16, and when I was homeless and living in a council flat with my daughter, I bumped into him and he asked me if I'd assist him. He did, you know, he did marbling, wood grain the proper way. He did Thatcher's house.
Yeah.
And I learned, you know, we just whipped through London and the suburbs doing hairdressers, restaurants, rag rolling, you know, in those days.
Great.
And so I had a good kind of career there.
That was your foundation
My
course.
foundation. And then I bumped into a friend who started as an art director in pop promos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so he hauled me in to do all the sets, you know.
Who was that?
Charlie Smith.
And what were some of the promos you did?
Oh my God.
Can you remember?
There was a breakdance one, I remember, but there was so many. God, I don't remember.
Yeah, any big hits in there?
I don't even remember. You know, I sometimes.
Where was that in London?
Sometimes in London in Grip House, along past the Hoover building.
Was that in the 80s or before that?
Yeah,
80s.
And sometimes I'd do a job, and at the end I say, "What was that for?" You know, I didn't even bother asking what the ad was about. It didn't really interest me.
So
anyway.
what advice? You know, for young artists today, it's a very different world, isn't it? But you haven't come up through the normal channels. No. What advice would you give a young artist today?
Just do it, you know, because you know, you don't need a studio. I mean, you just have a little sketchbook and just draw something every day. Just do a little sketch, you know, and it'll come. You just have to, you know, you can't. People they think, oh, I can't draw. But basically, they want to do a miracle on the first day, you know. Yeah. And it's taken me years to develop. Yeah. And you know, I still got so far to go. My ambition is to be a good artist. And I don't feel I got there.
Oh, I definitely think you've achieved that.
No, I just.
But that's the engine that drives you, I suppose. And you know, it's like.
Don't be afraid.
The doing is the reward as well. You don't even have to sort of judge it. It's so hard. When people get to a certain age at school, they stop being creative, don't they? Because they've become more self-aware. Yeah. Feel like they need to get people's approval. That's a big issue today, isn't it?
With egos.
How do you get around that?
You just have to ignore everybody else, because you know, a lot of people around here, I do these figurative stuffs because a lot of people buy my figurative stuff. You know, they don't understand my new stuff. But I don't care. I love my new stuff, because when your head is completely empty, that's when it comes out. Right. You know, no thought. In fact, it's all emotion and it's all just doing it, just splashing around. You know, I made so many mistakes. I paint over things because I hate them, but you have to just keep doing it. If you love it, I love it. It's my life. Yeah. You know, and I don't want to do anything else. Yeah. You know, the film business has come to pretty much of a standstill because it's not happening anyway. But I've been doing it for nearly 40 years, and it's exhausting. Yeah. You know.
And you know, it's actually not too within a lot of people's reach to move out to Spain at the moment, rent a house for a few €100 a month and start painting. But how do you make a living out of it? Do you just sell from your exhibitions, or are you online?
I sell more from here.
Are you online? Do you have an online gallery or work with online dealers?
You know, my Instagram, I always put my new paintings on Instagram. You can see a lot of my paintings on Instagram. I've got a Facebook, the Sandpit Gallery, and I've got Gym Halama.
I found social media really
and I've
helps.
got a webpage. Sorry?
Yeah, social media really helps.
Yeah, you
bring
know,
people into what you're doing, and
that's what it's all about,
yeah,
really.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not very good on it. I can just about do my Instagram and Facebook, but you have to, with Facebook, you have to keep showing stuff.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Marianne, who's hosting us, thanks. And Giles, thanks for setting this up. Do we want? Is there anybody want to ask Jim any questions, or anybody have anything they want to add to the conversation? Lisa?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, because I've been to your space and I absolutely love the sandpit, and stayed in one of the little houses in Shite that you next to the camel stop.
Yes.
Which, I mean, they're just absolutely gorgeous. They're works of art in themselves, really. I was just going to ask you, really, how do you? I mean, obviously you get inspiration, and you probably, you know, during lockdown it must be quite hard, I suppose, to find subjects that keep you going. But you seem to have got all of that. So do you, with not doing that many sketchbooks and things, do you find that it's all just your life experiences, and or is there enough stuff going on in your area to kind of go and see works of art and exhibitions and things?
There's a lot going on in my head more than around here, but I can look at, you know, I can on Instagram, I follow about 350 artists that I really like.
Yeah.
So you look at great art, you know, when you need a bit of inspiration.
Yeah.
And I follow fabulous artists. I can't even remember their name, but you know, Francois Barre. Have you heard of him?
No, I haven't. What's your Instagram tag?
Gym Halama.
Gym Halama, just that,
Yeah.
no underscore.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the webpage is gymhalama.com.
Okay.
And it's all basically, and the Sandpit Gallery.
Yeah.
And then Gym Halama, the other Facebook page.
Yeah.
So it's quite easy.
Yeah. Great.
You don't have an art representative gallery or anything in London?
But I wish I did.
Yeah.
But, you know, going to London, I did 2 exhibitions at the Tabernacle, which is just a tiny little gallery. But I sold quite well the first year, and the second year, they didn't advertise it properly. And I drove all the way. It was a hell of a schlap. Yeah. And I tell you what happened the second time I did it. There was a bloody cup final on, and half the people didn't turn up because they were more interested in football. And I was, you know, they don't realise what you've gone through. You've driven 2,000 miles and you've done all this work and you're putting yourself on the line, and they want to watch a football match.
Yeah.
I find it very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, you get the dates wrong, you're really screwed.
Yeah.
But I sell more from here, and I think people like coming here.
But you've exhibited all around the world, in LA, everywhere.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to get an exhibition in LA. I'm working towards that, but I haven't, you know, I've exhibited in Marbella and places. Italy, I did a mixed show. Had 2 paintings in Italy. That was a waste of time. A lot of money. It costs a lot of money to do an exhibition unless you've got somebody who can support you a little bit. And I'm learning now that I just let them come to me.
Yeah.
You know, I really can't. I just had 10 paintings in Estepona, and I went to collect them the other day because there's no passing trade at lockdown. No one was going to buy, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And I just thought, oh, why am I wasting my time, you know? And everyone loved them, you know. I got messages saying, oh, I've just seen your exhibition, I love your work, whatever. But that, you know, it's not going to sell anything.
Sure, well, I'll say thank you for all of us for doing it all and keep pushing. Yeah. And that's something you can do. And it, you know, certainly in lockdown, art and music has really helped people get through the tough times. I think that's the thing that people should be focusing on is something creative, because you lose yourself for hours. Yeah. You know, and you forget being frightened. I mean, I just think everyone's clinging on for dear life, and they need to just let go and learn to fly, basically, you know? Yeah. You know? Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah. Any other questions, Lisa? Or
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Jim, because I know that quite often people don't have, you know, a few €1,000 or whatever to part with, but have you thought about doing some really delicious kind of limited edition prints or something, which
I do loads of prints.
And do they sell well?
I do lots of cards with, you
Yeah.
know, greeting cards. I've got 60 different cards of my paintings, but you have to keep, you know, I haven't got the real latest ones, but they sit in a drawer. I've sold loads, but not enough to, I've got hundreds of prints, and I just practically give them away now because
it's depressing sometimes. I mean, people don't realize how hard it is to be a working artist. I mean, music is tough, but art is
it's really tough. First of all, you have to be inspired, then you have to do a good piece, and then you have to find someone that likes it, and then you know, draw them in.
It's so difficult. And you put, reading this book on Pollock, you put everything into it, and people make some glib statement at the exhibition where you're like, oh, hit the whiskey or something. It's a real tough tension there, isn't there?
But I don't, you know, I don't feel all those things anymore. I don't feel disappointed if I didn't sell anything. I don't feel all that because it doesn't matter anymore.
Is that because the process is the reward?
Yeah, for me, I just want to keep getting better, you know. That's all I want to do. And I just do it, whether they like it or not. I don't do it for other people.
That's
you know, hopefully they will like it.
Well, you get the sense from the work that you're not seeking anyone's approval other than your own eye, you know, and that's really powerful, I think. Anything else, Lisa?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, when I was at art college, because I kind of tended to go overboard a bit and overdo things and just keep piling on the paint and piling on the crap. And some of my tutors used to say to me, Lisa, less is more, less is more.
Yes, I believe that.
Less is more. But I love the way that you have taken stuff that you feel that you've overdone and then just wrecked it. I think there's something so refreshing in seeing someone who's not afraid to just do that, you know, and just
I think people are
make it better, you know.
And the art of leaving the party, when do you know when it's finished? It's just, you know, or
I do know when I'm really happy with something, and I know when, you know, I'm doing a portrait at the moment, and I started it while I was after this head injury, and I've gone around I've laboured it, and it's really, I'm plodding on, and I should have just wrecked it and started again when I was in a better space. And it's a learning, you know, you learn every time from something. Each one I learn something. And
not to be afraid of just
you know, it doesn't matter. Nothing really matters, does it? You know, I think if you come out with something that you're happy, I think I have to be happy with it. I'm not going to do it if somebody else likes it and I'm still not happy with it. That's tricky.
So sorry, Jim, when you've got these life drawing classes there at the Sandpit, do you actually go around and teach, you know?
No,
you just
I wouldn't know how to teach because I've never been taught.
Do you encourage?
No, I mean, it's basically for people who want to draw, and I've got a model and I've got a nice space and we have a nice little tea break and nice music. Basically, they come to do what they want to do, and we all look at each other's work and make comments and everything. But we do it because we love it. But I've had a few people drop out because they need help, and I don't feel I could help a real beginner, obviously, but I don't know how to teach, and I need to. People have asked me, "Will you teach me?" And I don't know how to.
Enabling them is just brilliant, though, isn't it? Enabling them to have the freedom to do it in confidence.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said enabling people to do it, which is what you're doing, and giving them the confidence to kind of, you know, just release themselves and do it, you know.
It is confidence. It's funny because, you know, we have a model that's incredibly round and voluptuous. She's fabulous. And then you see their sketch of a little skinny person. And I find it absolutely fascinating how people see things. You know, they see it completely different. I actually make her fatter usually. And she goes, oh, I'm really fat today. And I just love the, you know, you've just got to round it all off and not make it tiny and skinny. I learned that at school. I used to do art. And I used to go back to school for extra art classes. I loved, you know, it was my thing. And the teacher, you know, when you're little, you do a little thing in the middle of the piece of paper. He said, just fill the page, you know. And I learned that was the thing, fill the page.
I had a great art teacher, and we'd have double art class. He'd just let you bring records in. You could play records, and then again, he wouldn't teach. He'd just let you do your thing. And occasionally he'd come around and go, oh.
That's better.
It's fantastic. And I suppose, you know, you're a great example of someone who's educated themselves.
Yeah.
And to a point where you've become this incredible.
But, you know, I learned a lot on film sets because one minute they'd say, can you do a Roy Lichtenstein in a couple of hours for the room set?
Yeah. And
then the next it's a Beatrix Potter.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to put your hand to, and that's why my styles are so different. They're just, it's ridiculous. And what I found is the art world is really rigid. They want to see you all the way around the room. When people come when I do an exhibition, they think it's 5-6 different artists. Yeah. And the art world doesn't like that. They don't want.
That's right.
And I find that really rigid. Why can't I do something different every day?
Well, the world is turning towards you, I think. It's the same for me doing a lot of diverse music over the last 30 years. People accuse you of being a sort of jack of all trade master. I say, jack of all trade, master of one, you know, but now people are much more into diverse things, you know, maybe because of the internet. Yeah. You know, they can listen to heavy metal, they can do, and they're open to a lot more things. And, you know.
And I think, you know, it's like, the dolls, you know, in people when they say they're bored in lockdown, they've got nothing to do, whatever, you know, make a puppet out of a bog roll, you know. I did, because I was running out of materials, and I thought, what can I do?
Permission to be a child again and have fun. You know, it's great.
Love it. It's going to play school. I'm in at play school every day. You know?
Yeah. And that's a great way to live a
lot. How lucky are we?
Yeah, you know, amazing.
If Picasso can do it, Martin.
Sorry,
Picasso changed up. You know,
Picasso for me is the one who he changed. You know, he did so much stuff with his pottery and his sculptures, and he's. I mean, obviously, he's the best inspiration. You know, for me, I mean, I love Picasso.
Yeah,
but he was varied. You know, he was, but you could still see it. You know, every time you come across a Picasso, you just know it's a Picasso. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. He found his voice.
He's got his style, and I still don't have that. You know, I don't have that.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't afraid to steal things, was he, from anywhere? And I think when you go straight to what you really love as a source, you put it through that prism of you, it comes out somehow being transformed into something very original, you know. So I think we're getting close now to the end. Marianne, Lisa, are there any last questions we want to ask Jim?
Well, I wonder if you might do an opening again. You're going to do another opening maybe next year when this horrible.
Oh God, yes. Yeah.
Right.
Let me know when you're around.
And of course, we'll have Jim featured in the festival next October. Good luck.
Scott's got a question for you, Jim. Could I just?
It'd be nice to do a workshop of you doing the art class, actually.
Oh, okay.
Think about that.
But I could never let anyone see how I paint because I like to be completely alone, and I don't like people watching.
Right? Yeah, I know
I just
that
have
feeling.
a problem.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well.
But I mean, the art class is something else.
We can talk to Giles about that. Yeah. Go on then, Lisa.
Sorry, I was going to ask her. Scott Ford has got a question. He says, what inspires Jim every day for the next painting that she'll do?
How do I know what's going to inspire me? I don't know what's going to inspire
What inspired you the last time you made a painting? in the morning when you go?
Oh God! I just want to do it. I just get the canvas out and splash around, and something comes out of it. There is no necessarily a particular inspiration. I just want to do it.
Yeah.
If I can do it every day, I'll do it every day.
That's what I often have working with artists, and I'm like, okay, let's write something. No, I don't know if I've got anything to say. Well, let's just copy something, or you know.
No, because I wrote a little book, and I got 50 pictures and 50 short stories, a little mini life story, but just in essays. And I've never written before, and I started writing. And I didn't know where it was taking me. And then I suddenly realized that would make a nice ending, because it just comes to you.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's exactly the same thing, really.
Yeah,
you don't know where it's going. You've just got to start.
Yeah.
Put your pen on the paper. Same with the brush. You've got to just put your pencil on your paper and something will happen. And so many people think they can't do it, and they're probably amazingly talented. And for me, not using your talent is a sin. I really think that, you know, because it's, you know, to have somebody incredibly talented and not do it is terrible. Yeah. Isn't it?
Yeah. Wow.
Mm.
We all feel guilty about that time. How do you, well, you're obviously so motivated. Your discipline is just getting up and doing it every day.
I don't want to get up and do it.
Have there been times when you just felt lazy and I'm like, I'm not doing it?
No, sometimes if I'm not inspired, I'm learning not to do it. Take the day off or take the morning off.
Right.
Because nothing's good's going to come out of it.
You can sense that.
I can sense it. Yeah. I just don't, you know, leave it alone. Yeah.
Oh.
I remember a quote by Paul Klee, you know, Paul Klee, who he said, you take your line for a walk and see where it ends up.
Yes.
By putting the pencil on the paper, you know, that's what happens. It's like that. It's a bit of a
doodle, you know, just doodle. Have a book of doodles. I mean, that one downstairs with the head, there's a little tiny square of doodling. Yeah. And I just thought, wow, that'd make a great painting. And it was just from doodling. Yeah. Really, you know.
Great. Great. Okay, well, long may it last. Thanks again, Jim, for joining us and allowing us into your personal space. And so it's such a great honor and privilege. Thanks to Siobhan for helping with the filming. That's been really good. And thanks to Giles and Marianne and Lisa at the lab for getting it together. Look forward to seeing this online in a few days when the lab puts it up. But yeah, such a great, what a wonderful, inspiring time it's been. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's really great. Amazing.
Great. Okay, well, see you all later. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
A lot of people say.